family meeting. I said, I can't wait for our vacation. Then my dad replied with a laugh. It's only for family without you. They all laughed loudly. I just nodded and left. 5 days later, my mom tried to withdraw $5,000, but then I blocked the card and wrote, "Pay without me." Panic ensued. I should have known something was wrong the moment my mom invited me over for dinner. It was a Thursday night. I had just finished grading a stack of spelling tests when I saw her name pop up on my phone. She never calls during the week unless something's wrong. But this time it was cheerful. "Come over on Sunday," she said. "We're having a barbecue. Just family. Just family." That phrase struck a little differently after everything that had happened the previous month. You see, a few weeks earlier I'd taken a short trip with Emily, my girlfriend of about a year. Nothing extravagant. We both have day jobs. I teach 4th grade. She's a dental hygienist. We split the costs, stayed in a modest cabin outside of Boulder, did some hiking, took some pictures, had a great time. Quiet, peaceful. I didn't invite anyone else because it wasn't a family trip. It was for us. Apparently, that decision made me the bad guy. Somehow, my parents found out. My cousin's Instagram story probably gave it away. Emily and I against a snowy mountain backdrop smiling, holding cheap craft beer. I didn't post it myself, but it didn't matter. Within 2 days, I got calls from Tara, my sister, saying I was being selfish. Matt, my older brother, said I had changed. My mom didn't scream, but she dropped the guilt like a ton of bricks. "We've always been there for you, Andrew," she said. "But when you get a little time off, you run away like we don't exist." They acted as if I'd gone to Europe without telling them, like I'd cut them out of my life, like I owed them something. I ignored most of it, figured they'd cool off. They always did. So, when my mom called about Sunday dinner, I thought maybe this was her peace offering. I figured things might be tense, but maybe we could talk it out. Besides, they were my family. And deep down, I thought maybe I was overthinking it. Sunday came. I brought a bottle of red wine. Nothing expensive, just something nice. When I got to their house, the backyard was packed. My dad was at the grill. Matt and his wife were drinking beer. Tara was scrolling through her phone. And my mom was setting the table. No one looked surprised to see me, but no one said hello. We sat down. I made small talk with Matt's wife, trying not to take the cold shoulder personally. The food was good, if a little unseasoned. At one point, my mother asked how Emily was doing. I said she was fine. That was it. No follow-up, just silence. Trying to lighten the mood, I said, "I can't wait for summer vacation. I need a real vacation." That's when it happened. My dad let out a laugh loud and forced as if rehearsed and said, "That's just for the family without you." The table erupted. Matt actually clapped. Tara snorted and said, "Yeah, I guess you didn't need us. So we don't need you anymore." My mom just smiled like it was all in good fun, like it wasn't on purpose. I didn't say anything. I just nodded and got up, leaving the wine behind. No one tried to stop me. No one said goodbye. It wasn't until 5 days later that I realized they weren't just trying to humiliate me. They were trying to get something out of me. That afternoon, I got a message from my bank. My mom had just tried to withdraw $5,000 from the joint card that I had stupidly never closed. I had long ago set a withdrawal limit of $400 per day, more for myself than anything else. And that limit was the only reason the transaction didn't go through. They weren't asking anymore. They took I froze for a second. Then I blocked the card completely and changed the memo name on the account to pay without me. An hour later, WhatsApp was buzzing like crazy. Mom said it was all a misunderstanding. Dad said I was overreacting. Matt told me to stop acting like a victim. Tara just sent laughing emoticons and a screenshot of the card rejection message like it was a joke. I replied once, "Okay." That was it. No arguments, no drama. I just cut them off. But that wasn't the end of it. 3 days later, I came home from work to find my apartment door ajar. Not broken, unlocked. And inside, standing in the middle of the living room, were my parents. And they weren't alone. I froze. Emily was the first to notice. She was right behind me carrying a bag of takeout we picked up on the way home. Her grip on the handles tightened when she saw my parents in the living room. My dad was flipping through one of my old photo albums like it was a waiting room magazine. My mom had her arms crossed, standing next to a bag she'd obviously brought with her. Not overnight stuff, more like snacks, papers, folders, like she was planning on staying for a while. Behind her, Tara lay on the couch with her shoes off. She didn't even look up from her phone. "What are you doing here?" I asked. No yelling, no panic. Just confused. Angry, yes, but mostly stunned. My mom smiled like this was all normal. "We needed to talk. You didn't answer, so we came over. I wasn't answering because you tried to take $5,000 out of my account." She waved that off. "It was for the holidays. You're still part of this family, like it or not." I walked all the way into the apartment. Emily stayed at the door. I could feel her unease radiating from behind me. I didn't blame her. Neither of them even acknowledged her presence. My father spoke next. "You've been different since you started dating her. Selfish. Like we're just a burden now." Tara laughed softly. "He's always been a flake. Colorado just confirmed it. This was different. I wasn't rich, not even close. I had student loans, rent, a modest car, and a salary that just about covered it all. This trip had been planned months in advance. I even worked 2 weekends to afford it without dipping into my savings. So, yes, it was personal." Emily finally spoke. "You broke into his apartment. That's not okay." My mom gave her the coldest look I've ever seen and said, "This is family business. I didn't tell them to leave immediately. I should have, but part of me wanted to understand how they had convinced themselves that this was acceptable. What mental gymnastics made them think they had the right?" It didn't take long. When my father told me I owed them a vacation for abandoning them, I snapped. "You need to go now." My mom tried guilt. My dad tried sarcasm. Tara made some crack about how Emily must love the drama. I didn't care. I opened the door and gestured outside. They finally left, all of them. My mom was the last to leave. She turned to me just before she walked out and said, "You're going to regret this." I locked the door behind them and just stood there. Emily sat down and looked at me. "This is not normal, Andrew." I nodded. "I know. I didn't sleep that night. I kept thinking about the shared map, about the look on my dad's face when he told me I changed, about how confident my mom looked when she trespassed, like she was doing me a favor. That's when it hit me. Couldn't let this go. So, I called someone I hadn't talked to in months. My mom's older sister, Antonice, black sheep of the family, cut ties with my parents years ago for something no one ever explained to me. But she always liked me and she never liked them. When she answered, she didn't sound surprised. "I was wondering when you were going to call." She said, "I saw the group chat screenshots. I have some things to tell you." And that's when things really started to change. I hadn't talked to Antonice in at least 3 years. She lived across town in a little house she'd inherited from our grandmother. And though she never came for holidays, she always sent cards, birthdays, graduations, even the little ones. I never knew the full story behind why she distanced herself from the family, only that my mother called her unstable and my father said she was toxic. But at that moment, she was the only person I could think of to call. She invited me over that very night. Denise didn't waste any time. As soon as I walked in, she handed me a manila folder and said, "Your mother has been manipulating people for years. You're just the latest target." I didn't even take off my coat. Inside the folder were printouts of text messages, bank transfers, photocopies of old emails, stuff from when she was helping my parents out financially, apparently long before I was ever involved. They borrowed money for a roof repair in 2012. She said $10,000. I found out later they used it to go on a cruise. Told everyone I was lying. Said I had memory problems. Felt like swallowing sand. She poured 2 glasses of red wine and continued. According to her, my mother had always been good at guilt, good at painting people as ungrateful when they set boundaries. Denise had tried to pull away gently, then firmly, then finally with lawyers. But the family sided with my mom. She was the sweet one, the loyal daughter, the sacrificial mother. Denise was branded the drama queen, and the whole extended family ghosted her. Except me. I was keeping an eye on you, she said. I knew they tried to drag you into this eventually. I told her everything. Colorado, the dinner, the bank card, the break-in. She just nodded along like she'd expected it. I can help, she said. But if we do, you have to be prepared for them to hate you. I already was. So we came up with a plan. Not some over-the-top movie scheme, just something simple, quiet, effective. The revenge wasn't going to be loud. It would be smart. Step 1. Denise had a friend who worked in financial compliance. She helped me legally sever all remaining financial ties with my parents. I closed every dormant account, changed every password, removed them from my insurance and emergency contacts. It was meticulous. And when it was done, I made sure they knew. Step 2, I sent a single message to the family WhatsApp group. Just a screenshot of the closed account balance. No caption, no explanation. Tara replied with a series of question marks. Matt asked if I was having a breakdown. My mom called 3 times. I didn't answer. And then came the real blow. Denise had something else photos. Old ones of my parents in casinos, in bars, on what was obviously a luxury vacation in Aruba. Dated the same month, they told me they were barely making rent and needed me to help with utilities. I recognized the outfits. They had used that guilt to ask me for money more than once. So, I posted one of the pictures on Facebook. The caption: sometimes the people who call you selfish are just mad that you stopped funding their lifestyle. I didn't tag anyone. I didn't have to. It exploded. Cousins started messaging me. My dad's sister called me disrespectful. Tara posted some cryptic story about family traitors. And Matt sent me a voicemail that I didn't even bother to open. But then Emily called me into the living room. Your mom's here. I looked out the window. Sure enough, my mom was standing at the front door. This time she wasn't alone. She brought someone with her. And that was when I realized we were only halfway through the storm. She brought my Uncle Brian. If you don't know who Brian is, consider yourself lucky. He's my dad's younger brother. Loud, arrogant, and always trying to make himself useful in situations that don't concern him. The kind of guy who thinks I'll fix it is a personality trait. I hadn't seen him in almost a year, which was intentional. He stood next to my mom on the porch like some kind of enforcer, arms crossed, sunglasses on, even though it was almost sunset. My mom didn't look angry. She looked tired. Or at least she wanted to look tired. The look of a woman who thought she had been wronged and had finally come to extend an olive branch, just one dipped in gasoline. Emily stayed inside watching quietly from the kitchen. I stepped out and shut the door behind me. We need to talk, my mother said. I didn't move. I don't think we do. Brian jumped in immediately. You embarrassed the family. That post you made, that was out of line, Andrew. I almost laughed. Out of line was trying to drain my account. She made a mistake. Brian snapped. But she didn't make a mistake. She made a choice. Don't act like you weren't in on it. My mother held up her hands as if caught in the middle of something she had no part in. I didn't come to fight. I came to make peace. I didn't say anything. We want you back for the family trip. She continued. We canceled the original plans. We're going somewhere smaller. We thought maybe we could start over. So that was it. They wanted to reset the game. New rules. Erase the board, pretend it never happened. I knew that trick. They'd done it after every major blow-up in the past. Call it a misunderstanding, offer some gesture of peace, and then go right back to the same manipulative cycle once I agreed. But this time, I wasn't interested in playing. I'm not going anywhere with you, I said. And if you show up here again uninvited, I'm filing a report. Brian scoffed. You're seriously threatening your own mother? No, I'm protecting my life. That's what I'm doing right now. My mom's expression finally changed, as if she couldn't believe I was serious. Like I was the one escalating things. Then she gave me a look I hadn't seen since I was a kid. A mixture of pity and contempt. Like she was mourning someone who wasn't even dead. You're not the same person anymore, she said. You've changed. And that's when I realized she meant it as an insult. They walked off the porch without another word. No dramatic exit. No final plea. Just silence. The kind that means they weren't done. They were regrouping. Inside, Emily looked at me as if waiting for the weight to lift. It's not over, I told her. They're not going to leave it like this. And they didn't. 2 days later, I received notice that someone had filed a formal complaint with the school board anonymously, alleging that I was emotionally unstable and creating a hostile environment for students. I didn't expect the school to be involved. The email arrived on a Wednesday just before lunch. Subject line: Notice of concern, immediate acknowledgement required. First, I thought it was spam. Then I saw the sender, Office of Professional Conduct, District 14. Inside was a formal complaint, anonymous, but detailed enough to do damage. It said I was emotionally unstable, possibly depressed, and suggested that personal issues were affecting the learning environment. No actual events were cited, just vague phrases like erratic behavior and concerning classroom tone. It even mentioned Emily, though not by name, and referred to relationship conflicts that may have been observed by minors. I felt like I'd been hit. I sat frozen at my desk, still holding the half-warm thermos of soup I hadn't opened. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was planned. Precisely, aimed right at the one thing I had left that they couldn't touch: my job. I was in the principal's office that afternoon. Miss Cover's face said she knew the whole thing was a mess. She carefully told me that she wasn't passing judgment, that this would be handled according to protocol. I'd be put under informal observation and HR might come in for a talk. I nodded, said I understood, walked out without saying more, but inside something cracked. When I got home, Emily met me at the door. I didn't even have to explain. I just handed her the printed email. She read it once, then put it down. Who would do this? She asked, and I didn't even have to think. They would. Later that night, I called Denise, told her everything. You were right, I said. They don't stop. They escalate. She didn't gloat. She just got quiet and said, it's time to end this. So we did. We spent the next few days collecting every receipt, every message, every voicemail, anything that showed a pattern. There were the texts from my mom asking for help with groceries. Right before she posted beach pictures from Cancun. The Venmo request Tara sent labeled textbooks, which I later found out was a down payment on Coachella tickets, screenshots of emails from my dad begging for help with overdue car insurance, and the date-stamped receipt for a brand new flat-screen TV that same week. I'd ignored these things for years, tolerated them, believed that keeping the peace was more important than keeping score. But now I was keeping score. When the foul was done, we didn't send it to my parents. We didn't threaten them with it. We sent it to the family group chat, the extended one. All the cousins, the aunts who still sent Christmas cards, the people who always believed my mother's stories about her selfless son who drifted away because of his controlling girlfriend. It had a single sentence from me at the top. Before you believe the version of me they talk about, see the version they never mention. Then screenshots, receipts, timelines, a screenshot of my banking application showing the attempted $5,000 withdrawal, a copy of the complaint email with the school in the subject line, and finally a note from Denise confirming that she had seen much of this firsthand over the years. The group chat exploded. One of my cousins asked if it was a prank. Another simply replied, Jesus. My dad's sister, who hadn't spoken to me in years, Demariv's messaged, this is disgusting. You're humiliating your own mom. Tara posted on her story. Some people can't handle being called out, so they try to burn down the whole family tree. And then came my mom. She didn't respond in the chat. She went around it straight to Emily. Emily showed me the message. It said, you poison him. He wasn't like this before you. I hope you're happy. That was her last card. Divide us. Blame her. Rewrite history again. But Emily didn't flinch. She looked at me and said, end it, all of it. Whatever you have to do. And that's when I knew what had to happen. It wouldn't be loud. It would be final. I didn't write back to my mom after she texted Emily. I didn't call. I didn't block her. I didn't even respond. I just let it sit there, 3 sentences trying to put it all on the woman I loved like I was some kind of puppet being controlled. As if all this hadn't been years in the making. Emily read it once, closed her phone, and said she knows she lost. That was the first time I believed it. I made a decision that week. Not out of anger, not out of spite, just out of necessity. I wasn't going to live in fear of another false accusation or another uninvited visit. I wasn't going to wait for the next time they decided to come back into my life. I was going to make sure there wouldn't be a next time. So I called a lawyer, not one of those flashy billboard lawyers. Denise knew a quiet, sharp woman named Clara who specialized in family disputes and restraining orders. She was calm, efficient, and didn't even blink when I handed her the stack of screenshots and printouts. She listened carefully, asked the right questions, and by the end of the meeting, she had a plan. Within a week, the no-contact order was filed temporary, pending full approval, which wouldn't take long given what I'd handed over. I also filed a separate report for the incident at the apartment. Turns out what my parents did that day wasn't just family drama. It was a crime, trespassing. My landlord issued a formal warning, changed the locks, and offered to install a new security camera free of charge. He even apologized. He said that in 10 years of renting, he never seen anything like it. Then came the best part. Clara traced the anonymous complaint to the school board. Her team got the metadata from the email header, matched the IP, and no shock traced it back to Tarara's college. She hadn't even bothered to use a VPN. I didn't press charges. I didn't have to. When my lawyer contacted the school and showed them the data trail, they immediately dropped the charges and closed the file. That was the end of the professional damage. And it was the beginning of something better. I took a week off, real time off. The county gave me full pay, probably out of quiet sympathy. Emily and I used the break to look at new apartments. A fresh start, clean walls, no memories tied to old keys. We found a 2-bedroom near a park with a kitchen she loved and a reading nook I didn't know I wanted until I saw it. We moved in at the end of the month. Denise helped us pack. She was quiet through most of it, but as we locked the door one last time and handed in the keys, she put her arm around my shoulder and said, "That apartment was your first step away from them. This is your first step away." I didn't say anything, but I knew she was right. After we moved, I deleted the family group chat. Didn't leave it, deleted it, gone. I didn't need updates from people who sat in silence while my parents took a wrecking ball to my life. A few cousins reached out privately, saying they hoped we could still be close, but I didn't respond, not to be cruel, just because I was tired of cleaning up after other people's choices. Work got better. My students threw me a welcome back party with construction paper signs and crayon drawings. Emily framed one of them, a lopsided stick figure that said, "Mr. A is the best," and hung it in the hallway. I started to sleep again. Real sleep, the kind where you don't wake up angry or bracing for the next attack. One night, about 2 months after everything, Emily and I were sitting on the balcony with cheap wine and a pizza box between us. The air was warm still. No more buzzing phones. No more emergencies. I told her, "I feel like I'm finally out of the house. Not just physically. I mean out." She nodded. "You are." Then she said something that surprised me. "You know you're going to be a good dad someday, right?" I looked at her. She wasn't joking. She wasn't trying to make a point. She was just saying it like she saw something I hadn't considered. And that's when I realized that this whole storm, every twisted part of it, had cleared the way for something real. Something healthy. Something that wasn't built on guilt or obligation or fear. For the first time in my adult life, I wasn't someone's scapegoat. I wasn't a bench. I wasn't a bad son, a disappointing brother, a selfish betrayer. I was just Andrew, and that was more than enough. Thanks for following the whole story. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe for more updates and stories.